Yay for the United Nations, which is in walking distance from Cartier. But before that, they wanted to put it in San Francisco, perhaps. You know, go down to the shore, get Chinese food, relax, sun yourself. The UN should be banned from New York City. The UN belongs in places like the Congo or Syria. The UN should be placed centered in Africa or the Middle East, where there is woe, suffering, human tragedy, where the people who go to the UN, the bureaucrats, have to see the woe, suffering, and human tragedy up close at hand. They have to wade through it and suffer through it and empathize with it in order to go to the UN. The UN in New York should immediately become a homeless shelter, a huge institution to clean, house, educate the homeless and get them back on their feet. It could service all of the United States. The UN itself should immediately be placed in two parts, part in Africa, part in the Middle East, where it could suffer and understand and empathize with the throes of humanity. Those diplomats, they don't get to hang out at Cartier anymore and buy $50,000 watches for their lovers. They have to go through the mud and desert where the human suffering and tragedy is. So I'm calling on people everywhere, anyone in the sound of my voice, ban the UN from New York instantly. The UN must be reimagined, as people like to say, and created anew in Africa and the Middle East. And please, YouTube, would you stop shadow banning me and stop throttling down everything I said? What I'm saying is very positive and very rational, and it makes sense. People need to begin putting out into the world this idea that we don't want the UN in posh Upper East Side of Midtown New York City. We want the UN in Africa and in the Middle East, where the suffering and tragedy is, where they could see it and be involved in it and do the most good. Place the UN in Africa. Place the UN in the Middle East. Close it in New York City immediately.